welcome to this week's episode of Chapel's Corner. I'm Chris Chapell, your host, and today I have a dear friend of mine with us, Julie DeMauro, and she's going to help us talk a little bit about the dating world from a female perspective. As you may have remembered, we were supposed to have my colleague, the serial dater, on here, but last minute she decided not to share her whole story with the entire world, which is fine. So we're going to take a little twist on it, and Julie and I are going to talk today about dating, what guys do and what we think they're doing, and give them our perspective on their bad habits, and we'll go from there. All right, Julie, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So dating.
Yes.
How do you feel about dating?
I hate it.
Why?
Because there's so much, I don't know, I've never been a serial dater, so I think focusing on one person is enough for me.
Okay.
Other girls can focus on like multiple, but I just can't.
Okay, so the serial dater who I know, 17 first dates in 3 months.
That's insane.
That's just first dates. That doesn't mean that if they've wanted to go out again.
That's insane, and that's really frustrating, because like everyone thinks like, oh, you get the first date jitters, like you get ready and, you know, do extra special things, but then like the first date is usually a flop. So usually what I do is I give them a second chance. So like you can't really judge a person by first date because they're usually nervous. I'm usually nervous. So if they ask you out again, then I would definitely go on the second date.
I have to say, I'm kind of if they don't cut it on the first date, I'm kind of the sorry, you're out kind of girl.
But see, you can't really, I mean, because people are nervous, like you really don't know like what to talk about. Like first dates are always so awkward, so that's why I usually judge the second date, if there is one. Unless the guy's like a creep to begin with and you get a really bad vibe from him.
Okay, that's been most of my dates, so maybe that's why I'm just the first date girl. After that, sorry, you're done. If you make me pay for a $1.50 ice cream cone, you're out.
That was horrible. I remember that story, you telling me that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the thing I love about my serial dater of a coworker is she always has a social life on the weekends. It may turn out awful, but she always has like
a social life on the weekend.
No, she always has like a Friday, Saturday, and maybe a Sunday day planned.
That's weird. See, my ideal night for a date would be Saturday, because then you have the whole day to just kind of like relax and get ready and do whatever you have to do, so you're like prepped for the night.
And shop for a new outfit if
right. And Friday it's like, you know, you get out of work and you have to go home and rush and get ready, and then Sunday it's like, what do you do on a Sunday?
I like to lay on the couch.
Yeah.
With the dog.
Exactly. So Saturday is the best night for a date for me.
Okay, good to know. All right, so as my viewers know, I always do a book review. And so I'm going to use this to kind of carry us through this conversation today. He's Just Not That Into You. It is an old book. It is something I got from coworkers, I think, when I first started my first real big girl job. Apparently I needed to know that he wasn't just that into me. So let's talk about it. It's from one of the producers from Sex and the City in a male perspective. So definitely think there's some valid points using the whole Sex and the City, Samantha, Carrie, Charlotte, and Miranda. But one of the things is guys tend to use excuses as what they call polite rejections. So it's been a long day, I'm really busy, I don't feel too well.
That's crap.
Okay, why is that crap?
Because especially when you first start dating someone, that's the time where they're trying to impress you the most. If a guy wants to see you or call you or talk to you, he will. He'll move mountains to make sure. I mean, one phone call takes how long? So if he really wants to see you, it doesn't matter how tired he is, it doesn't matter how long his day was, what he's been doing. If he wants to see you, he'll see you, and he'll make sure that he sees you.
So it's hot out, he doesn't like to sweat, not a good excuse.
He's a grown man. Like, obviously, no, that's not an excuse.
Put some deodorant on.
Yeah, exactly. Grin and bear it. And you know what? If that's his biggest problem is that he sweats, well, he's not a real man.
Okay. So if he likes you, he'll do the asking.
Yes. 100% yes.
Why?
Unless the girl is like really forward. I've never really asked anyone out on a date. Like, I mean, I've suggested it, like, oh, maybe we should go out or maybe we should do this, but like to make the concrete final plans, I always let him just ask.
Now, does he, when you say concrete final plans,
like saying like, let's go out this weekend.
And do you then compromise, or do you kind of want him to say, let's go here, I'll pick you up at this time?
Well, yes, I like him to have the plans.
Okay.
As far as like where we're going. But as far as picking up, it depends. Because if you've known them for a while, then yeah, definitely. But if you really haven't met them, I usually will go meet them there.
I'm with you.
For your own safety, and if the date's horrible,
you have an excuse and a way to get out.
And he's not your only way home.
Good girl.
Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm usually the same because I don't want to, if it's creepy or if it's just not going well, you've got an easy out versus having to have that long car ride home.
Awkward car ride, yeah.
That's, yeah, no, I don't agree. I think he needs to just meet there.
Yes.
But planning, absolutely. I think he needs to plan, and I think if he's coming from a distance, like if he's not down the street around the corner type, then he also needs to plan and do his homework. Right,
but see, if he's safe, like you plan to meet at like Mama Iguana's, if he just says, yeah,
not an endorsement, but we do love the place.
Yeah, exactly. If he's like, just meet me there, then it's like, well, he's not willing to make the effort to come pick you up. So if he says, well, I'll come pick you up, and then you say, well, you know what, it's actually easier for me to meet you there, then that's fine. But if he doesn't show the effort that he wants to come pick you up, that's kind of a turn off.
But what if he's coming from like a half an hour plus away? Say he's kind of like a long distance.
No, if he's a gentleman, he should offer to come pick you up. At least offer.
Okay, but should he do the planning for the date? Should he do the research to see what's in your area or a middle ground?
Well,
how do you feel about that?
If he's coming from a distance and he really doesn't know the area, I mean, I guess you could say, well, there's a really good place, or like, I really like this place, maybe we could go there. That's fine. But I mean, if you're like a couple towns away, like he lives in Holyoke and you live in Longmeadow, then yeah, he should plan.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. How about paying?
Oh. Well, I think first date he should always pay. But to be polite as a girl, you should always offer. And expect to pay. Bring enough money so in case like the date's going really horribly and you just want to like pay your own way and get out of there, then make sure you have enough money. But don't 100% expect him to pay either, because a lot of guys don't anymore.
What about $1.50? Should they?
That's ridiculous. That is insane. I could dig that up in like the bottom of my car, like $1.50.
And I had to dig that up in the bottom in the bottom of my wallet. I'm like searching for $1.50 and change to pay for this ice cream cone because he would not do it. I literally did. I think I'm counting pennies like an idiot on this freaking date. Last time I go out with an engineer on a first date.
Seriously. $1.50 ice cream. I mean, really.
I know. Whatever.
It's ridiculous. But I think the guy should pay on the first date.
So what happens, I love this story because she told us the story. She offered to pay as he's paying. She goes, oh, you know, I offered, and then he said, oh, well, I would have paid for you, but continued to take her money and split the bill.
That's disgusting.
So he's definitely not a second date kind of guy.
No. No, it's one thing, okay, if the date goes well and he's a gentleman and, you know, you just weren't really, like, feeling the chemistry or the connection, then I'd give it a second chance. If you had fun on the date but there just wasn't anything, I'd give it a second chance just to make sure that that's really what you were feeling. But if he screws up on, like very technical things like that.
Who would say that? Like, oh, I would have paid for you, but here, let me take your money anyways?
I know. I'd be like, no way. But, I mean, what can you do? Yeah, that's definitely not a second date.
Yeah.
No way.
All right, so moving on just a little bit. So you're talking to him, you've gone out on maybe 1 or 2 dates, and things seem to go well, but all of a sudden he's like, oh, I can't, you know, see you for a week or 2, or he just kind of falls off the face of the earth, doesn't really, you know, follow through if you're calling or texting, you know, it takes a long time. So he's kind of vanishing.
Mm-hmm. Are you calling him like to see where he is and he's not answering, or you just haven't spoken?
It could be both.
Okay.
If you're calling or texting, because now we text all the time. Mm-hmm. So if you're texting and he doesn't respond for like a whole day, if you're like, oh, let me know what you're doing for plans tonight because we had plans or something, and he doesn't really get back to you, and you know, so he's starting to vanish. Do you really waste your time?
No.
Do you wonder?
I would wonder, but I mean, I would just take it as he wasn't interested. Usually you can tell. I can anyway.
I can too, but I'm wondering if that's something that comes with age. Because I feel like at 22, 23, we're like, oh, I wonder what he's doing. Maybe he's really busy at work and a meeting. And,
but see, that's
we find so many excuses.
Right.
We find the excuses.
Right, which is very horrible. But I feel like this is where a lot of girls, like younger ones, I think like at our age, like we're not as bad, but if a guy stops calling or texting or whatever, he's not responding, the girl panics a little bit if she really likes this guy, and she'll like bombard him, and that's when like it gets really bad, and that's when you're labeled as a psycho.
So stop bombarding so you won't be
Right,
a
let
psycho.
him do the work.
Let him. And if you don't hear from him, just move on.
Right.
And when you do hear from him, do you just ignore it?
No, see, that's kind of, I'm not really into the whole game thing. So if you hear from him eventually and you want to see him again, I'd ask him flat out, like, what was the deal? I tried to text you a couple of times, I didn't hear from you. And then listen to excuse, and then see if it's something you still want to pursue.
Listen to the excuse.
Yeah.
So you've already kind of written
It's
it
like,
off.
I lost my phone and I lost your number. But see, there's always a way to get in touch with someone. Facebook, text messaging. I mean, you can literally like get in touch with someone like any way you want. So,
Nowadays, absolutely.
Right. So I guess that's not really an excuse if he lost his phone.
All right, I'm going to cut in really quick because you just brought up something really good that I liked about finding a way to get into something, and I have to share this little story. So the guy perspective from this book of He's Just Not That Into You says, he tells a little story of one night he was at a bar and flirting with a bartender. He asked her for her number, and she said, I don't give out my phone number because guys really rarely call me when they say they're going to. She goes, my name is Lindsay Adams, and if you want to call me, find my phone number. So, which she did, because he really wanted to call her. The very next day, he says, do you know how many Lindsay Adams there are in the phone book of a major city? So he goes, let's just say I talked to about 8 or 9 before I found the one I knew. I thought that was really cute.
That is really cute.
I need a guy to do that for me. Just putting that out there.
They're lazy. They won't. I'm kidding. Well, most won't.
Most won't. Let's be real.
Well, who has a landline anymore anyway to look up your phone number?
That's true, because you can't always look up a cell phone number.
Right.
But
it shows how dated that book is. But the principles
are still there. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I don't think they ever go away.
Right.
So you and I are both professional women.
Yes.
Very accomplished.
Yes. Well, you are. Okay.
We both are very accomplished. So I don't know if you've ever gotten it, but I've gotten it. And I'm finally realizing it's not me. It's really just he's not that into me, and I'm totally okay with it. But I've gotten the response a couple of times that I'm intimidated.
Intimidating?
Intimidating. Have you ever gotten that response?
I've been told that I look intimidating, like I'm not approachable, but I'm very approachable. I think so. I'm very friendly and very nice.
I think so.
But
we get along well over sangria.
That's a horrible excuse because they're grown men. If a woman intimidates them, I mean, maybe if subconsciously they're a little intimidated, like that's one thing, but if he outright says, like, I'm intimidated by you, like, okay, well, you're obviously not worth anything because if you're intimidated by a woman, that is just a huge turnoff to me.
I'm not a WWF or E or whatever wrestler. Why would men be intimidated
by success? I mean, they complain that, like, they hate women who are too needy, too whiny, who take their money all the time. They hate that, but then also when they find like a successful, like accomplished woman, they don't like that either because they're too intimidating. That's the worst excuse I've ever heard. One of them.
Well, and frankly, I would think I'm one of the perfect people to date because I'm always busy and never around, so I'm not needy and clingy, and I don't need to be around.
Well, you have your own life. You don't rely on the other person like for entertainment. You don't rely on the other person like to, for your plans. A lot of girls do that because a lot of the times when they start dating someone, it's all about the guy that they're dating. I'm guilty of that, definitely. And, they lose like their friends, their social life, and then, you have your own life, and it would just be easy for someone to date you because, say if he said, oh, I'm hanging out with the guys tonight, blah, blah, you'd be like, okay, well, I'm going out with the girls. Yeah. Like, big deal. It wouldn't be like, oh, well, now I have no plans.
Yeah, I can't say I've never built my life around somebody that I've dated, because I have.
It's easy to do.
It's absolutely easy to do. And I think after doing it one too many times, we start to realize. And now I'm just so busy with everything that I'll fit you in when I can fit you in.
Right.
So if that means coffee at 8 o'clock in the morning before we go to work, sure, that's fine.
And if he's really into you, then he will definitely meet you for coffee, unless his job is one that like won't allow him to.
Yeah, which, you know,
Yeah.
that's debatable too on the job aspect.
True.
All right, so if he likes you and he needs to take things slow, I think it's a loaded one, but I think there's times where you really need to look at it's just an excuse. If you've been on a couple dates and things seem to go well and then all of a sudden it's kind of that again, vanishing. You need to really see where his response is and what's going on.
I agree, but I think if he really likes you and he vanishes, he'll be upfront with you and say, you know, I just got out of a serious relationship and, you know, I really just kind of want to take things slow. I mean, I think, to me anyway, I feel like things that start quickly end quickly.
Yes.
So I think if he really likes you, he will take his time a little bit, like, to get to know you, to get to know, like, you know, what you're about. And, you know, I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, if it's 5 years later and he still wants to take things slow, then yeah, you may have a problem. A big one.
The engagement ring is not coming.
Yeah, chances
you
are
screwed yourself in co-signing a house together.
No, that's so bad. Do not. Oh, that's
Never
one of my biggest
co-sign.
things. No, don't co-sign for anything with a guy that you're not married to.
I have to give my sister credit because she and her now husband moved in and bought a house together before they got married. And I think even before they got engaged, but everything went in her name. And they agreed
Good.
with that when they bought the house before they got engaged and everything. So I have to give my sister credit on that one.
Props to your sister.
Props to her. All right, so don't let him trick you into asking him out on a date. I hate when guys do this.
Like, what do you mean trick?
Well, they're the ones who are always, you know, trying to put the ball in your court.
Oh.
You know, you want to do the asking?
No, I would never ask a guy out.
Okay. All right. So basically we need to know that if he's not calling, if he's not asking, I'll explain my finger in a minute. If he's not calling, he's not asking, he's disappearing, he's not taking the time to plan or do anything, the key is what?
He's just
not that into you.
Or he's a deadbeat, and you don't want that either.
And pay attention to the car he drives and the money he makes, I think. They kind of correlate.
Well, see, the car, I'm not a big car person. I don't care if you drive like a beater, as long as it runs and it'll get me safely from point A to point B, whatever. Money,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you make a ton of money and you can't, like, take me out to dinner, that's bad.
Yeah, we don't like cheapskates either.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so Julie, we need to cut today, but thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I know you'll be back because we'll do a roundtable after we do the male's perspective in the following week, and then we'll bring Julie and our male co-host back together and do a little roundtable with the three of us. And I know, Aaron, I will talk to you before you actually see this episode, but this is because of you, because I burnt my finger with the flat iron trying to curl my hair, recreating the curls we did last night. So thank you, Aaron. It's not a wonderful story. I didn't get a fight or whatever else, or make homemade waffles and, you know, burn my finger down. I just burnt the tip off my finger trying to look pretty for today's episode. Anyways, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.